Welcome to another episode of Postin Presents the Show. I'm your host, Ms. Dopalicious, and today we have another permanent new addition to the show, our other host,
Miss Tina, baby.
Please say the baby is in the building. Today we will be sharing with you Langford's Gourmet Cookies and Cakes. And we have the owner and baker of Langford's Gourmet Cookies and Cake with us, Miss Patricia Langford. Miss Langford, would you mind giving us just a little bit background on who you are and what Langford's Gourmet Cookies is?
All right. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your show today. I started Langford's Gourmet Cookies 10 years ago, well, actually 15 years ago in Dayton, Ohio. At that time, I was retired from my educational pursuits and my retailing background. And I call this my encore career. So I've always loved to bake my whole life. My parents always had us in 4-H. We exhibited at the state fair, got various ribbons. And so I've always just baked and clipped the recipes. I was baking some cookies for a friend, and the friend said, "Oh my goodness, you should market these." And I said, "Oh, I just like to bake for my friends." But as a consequence, I started baking, and they really took off. And so here I am 15 years later. I'm incorporated, and I just really love what I do.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you mentioned that you started your business in Dayton. Are you from Dayton?
Originally, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
And I went to Emmerich Manual Training High School, which is on the south side. And during my time there, I actually won the Betty Crocker Award.
Oh, wow.
And so, like I said, I had 4 brothers and sisters, and everyone had different entrepreneurial pursuits in the baking field. And my mother always made peanut brittle. So they always allowed us to just do what we like to do in the kitchen.
Okay.
I'm so grateful because it was never a situation of, oh, it's too expensive, or, don't do that. So, and one time after I started my business, my daughter reminded me that I used to bake a cake every Sunday. And I didn't even remember that every Sunday of her life, I always baked a cake. And so I started my business with cookies. Okay. And my initial cookie was an oatmeal walnut raisin cookie. And then I started adding other cookies. And then I said, I really like baking cakes. So my favorite cake as a teenager was a German chocolate cake. I always baked that. So I started with a German chocolate cake, and now I've expanded it to various other cakes.
Okay. So German chocolate cake, what is, when it came to like making things from scratch and building the complexity and things like that of your cakes, because I know German chocolate is, it's levels and layers to making a German chocolate cake, to making it what it is. Is that something that you learned at home? Is that something you learned by experimenting? You also said that you won contests, so was that something that you learned in home ec? Because that's something they don't have in schools nowadays, is home economics. But how did you learn to?
Well, I learned to bake. When I was going to school, girls took home economics and boys took shop. So everyone took, cooking classes. And as I mentioned before, one of the things my mother did to keep us busy during the summer was to enroll us in 4-H.
What does that mean, 4-H?
I'm not sure what 4-H means.
Oh, sorry.
I've heard of it. I remember when I was in middle school, there was something we would hear about 4-H, but so many of these things don't exist, now.
They still have 4-H, but it's more in the rural areas.
Okay.
And so anyway, at the state fairgrounds, you could present clothing items or food items. And so we just really worked hard every year to put an item in there.
So you stated earlier you guys won various ribbons. What did the ribbons represent?
Well, if you got a blue or purple, that's the very top.
Okay.
First place and beyond. So I always got blue and purple ribbons.
So you was always first place.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as I said, the secret to making really, you have to love what you're doing. So I think my products really show the love. I put a lot of love and care into making my products. And I only use the best ingredients that I can find.
Okay.
And the highlight of my product is you can taste the butter You can taste there's no aftertaste. You know, when you buy
Yeah.
foods at the grocery
Artificial
store,
preservatives
you get the
and stuff.
preservatives
Oh, God.
and artificial flavors. So
Yeah.
the selling point for mine is, you know, it just melts in your mouth. You can just taste the real ingredients, the quality ingredients.
I don't know if y'all can notice the resemblance, y'all, but this is my mom. And I got to contest that ingredients
They go a long way.
They go a long way. She did mention the German chocolate cake, which is chocolate cake and coconuts have never been one of my particular favorite. But I can definitely say when you are used to quality and use quality, there is an exceptional difference. And I can also say that the German chocolate cake is probably in my top 5. I requested it before for my birthday because when you use better ingredients, you don't have that dry, you know, sound and grit from the coconut. And you can definitely tell the difference because, you know, I've ordered cakes or been around people and they've ordered cakes from other bakers, especially some of those like fancier type of cakes with the crunch and the weird stuff on the outside. And I can't really even enjoy them because like it has that aftertaste or it has that sometimes when you eat baked goods they have a plastic type
like that fondant and all of that.
It's some type of
Or
weird
the frosting is
lingering.
made out of shortening.
Yeah,
It
lot of
tastes
times.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, like Cuz said, that's her mom, and this is my aunt. And I'll tell y'all what, the cakes I've bought cakes and taken them to work, and I had coworkers request them again. I've taken them home. We call it the crack cake. It's, y'all, yeah.
And what is so funny, because I start with my, you know, my cake, and then these girls will say, "Oh, can you add? Why don't you make add some rum to it?"
It has rum in it, don't it?
Yeah.
It does.
So the next thing I'm doing, I'm adding rum or bourbon or something to the cake, and then it's like, oh my gosh.
So I was gonna ask, where do you get your ideas from, or anything additional?
From us.
Yeah. So
Shoot us some ideas, guys.
Yeah. So I know that you have a certain list of cakes that you offer. Can you kind of tell us some of the? Well, no. Before we start there, what was the first cake that you felt comfortable that you were like, okay, yes, this is going to be one on the list, and the first cookie?
The first cookie, as I said, was oatmeal walnut raisin cookie, because that was a favorite of one of my friends, and I was just baking some cakes for their party, and so that got me baking those particular cookies.
Right.
The first cake was my sour cream coffee cake, and it has a pecan. We call it a pecan streusel swirl. It's got cinnamon and brown sugar and nuts going through the center, and that's the one on my brochure. I think one of these has a picture on the brochure and on my picture here.
Okay.
And
you can see the streusel on the inside.
yes,
too.
and so that cake was the first one. And actually, I was selling that cake to a coffee shop in Miami Valley Hospital, one of the leading hospitals in Dayton, Ohio. And when I would run into different people that worked there, they said, "Oh, you make the Coke cake." I said, you know, they said it's so addictive.
Coke and crack.
Coke and crack.
It has no alcohol in it. It has no Coke in it.
Right. No drugs have been included in the baking of these cakes, okay?
So that's just a really...
It's a disclaimer out there.
Right. Yeah. So then after that, I just...
Wait, so you're saying like they could go to the hospital and then when they went to the cafeteria, they could buy a slice of your cake with their meal?
Yes, in the coffee shop.
Oh, wow.
Not the main cafeteria, but they had a coffee shop, and they sold the cake by the slice.
And that was for how long? For a while?
Oh, that was for about the 10 years that I was in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
One of the first events I did to promote my business was the first women's fair, and we had over 10,000 people for the weekend that came through the women's fair.
Okay.
And people came up and said, "Oh," they told me different people, "Oh, you should contact Miami Valley Hospital, or you should contact this person." And so I was just really a go-getter. And so I wrote letters of introduction to several different businesses, and that's how I got the contract at Miami Valley Hospital at the time. And I later did a similar thing at Dorothy Lane Market. That's a specialty grocery store that we have in the city. It's on the south side, and they started carrying my cookies.
Kind of comparable to like our Whole Foods, I think.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And so first I was trying to dabble into wholesaling, and then I realized, if you do wholesale, then of course the purchaser has to mark it up.
And then you have the shelf life.
And the shelf life and different things like that. So I decided wholesaling, it was not what I wanted to do. But originally I did do it for Dorothy Lane Market. There was an Arrow Wine and Gourmet store, just to name a couple of places where I had my products. And early on in my retail business, I started doing a lot of different things. I sold jewelry, I sold makeup. And then one day it hit me, why am I helping other people to make money when I could be doing my own thing and making my own money? So that was sort of another thing that got me going toward my own business. And if you're going to start a business, you need to do something that you really like. Yeah. Because then you can put the love and the time into it instead of just, so many times people think, oh, I think I'll sell makeup. I think I'll sell this and that. But they don't really love. Yeah, they don't really like it. Yeah. But they think, oh, I can make money doing it,
And it shows in the product.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have to be a go-getter, because I remember even when I had moved to Indianapolis, because I moved here long before my mom did, and I would go down to Ohio, and we would do like the home-oramas and the things like that, where people would come, and it would be like when you could want to rebuild your home or something, you would go and you would pick out, a swimming pool or just huge things like that. But then they also had vendors. And I remember, a few years where people would actually come and they would actually buy whole, like we would set up and sell cakes by the slice and cookies by the slice.
You going back home.
And bundles, you can buy bundles like this, individual packets like this, or, individual cakes and cookies by the slice. But then there were some people who were always there, and we would know, like, they're getting a half a cake. They're coming, they're like, I need a whole cake. Yeah. So, if you love it, makes it, I think, a little bit easier to make your product stand out, not only with the enthusiasm that you have for the product, but also the quality that seeps through, you know what I mean? Get yourself out there, because it can start. In those days they were kind of grueling. You would have to make product because we would run out of product.
That's what I was about to ask. How much to make? Like you would just
how did we would be on till about 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes we go back home and have to bake more cookies for the next day. Okay. Yeah, so we really,
because part of the thing that Miss Langford. Mom, she really wants to emphasize about her item is that they are fresh. They're freshly baked. There's not, I know, because I've been along the ride with her on this entrepreneurship. And one of the things I know that, was one of the things when she had it in the store was you want to have that guaranteed freshness. You have that sell by date. And a lot of people think a sell by date means it's not good. It's not good, but it's not that it's not good. Depending on what the business owner, how they want to stand by their product, you want to make sure that it's an optimum freshness, when you receive it. So
so just like I'm sure all of you, when you go and buy a loaf of bread, you look to see what is the most current date, and everything else stays on the shelf. So that's the same way. So I like to have a 48-hour notice, because I don't bake in advance. I bake it to order when you say that you'd like to have the product and what time you want to pick it up. Yeah. So that things are really, really fresh.
She does have product for vegans as well.
Oh, you have specialty products?
Oh, I also do vegan. Actually, one of my doctors, when I first went, he was asking me if I did vegan. So then I started to venture into the line of vegan. So I have vegan cakes and vegan cookies. So that's a good area also. There's so many areas that you can specialize in, but you can't, do it all. People say, do you do pies? Yes, I can bake pies, but you can't spread yourself too thin. So I'm just concentrating on the cakes and the cookies.
So are there any other items that people can get that may be seasonal or not on the list that aren't cookies and cakes that you make exceptions for?
Well, I should say no. because I don't want to influx of people calling me and saying, "Can you make an apple pie? Can you make a pumpkin pie?" So,
So y'all make peanut butter.
however, I do some seasonal items.
Okay.
And of course, for you guys, I have this praline chest cake that is not on my list.
That's the crack cake.
Chest cake is not chest pie, Hoosiers. Okay,
Yeah.
it's something.
It's
Totally,
chest cake,
it's
aka crack cake.
Yeah.
And it's delicious.
Yeah.
So I like to do things seasonally. So one of the things I have here, I'm going to do bunny cakes. I've got a sort of an Easter presentation here.
Okay.
I'm going to do that for the Easter holiday.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll do heart-shaped cookies to promote for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
And then, of course, at the holiday, they're good all year round, but people really order the rum balls and the bourbon balls, for the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different seasons,
Peanut brittle.
different
Do you do
things.
peanut brittle?
I do peanut brittle. I usually try to do it once a year. My mother always, for years, bless her heart, she lived to be 97 years old, but she did peanut brittle, and it's real thin, and people really like it. So in honor of her, during the holiday season, I do a peanut brittle, because a lot of her friends and acquaintances still like to have her peanut brittle.
Now, is it peanut brittle? I remember growing up, and that peanut brittle, y'all, is the best. It does not get stuck in your teeth. You're not like, with a knife. It is definitely the best peanut brittle I've ever had. Is it just peanut brittle, or do you do
So then I branched it
cashew
out
brittle
again.
or
My daughter said,
or pistachio brittle?
Pistachio, well, you do cashew. And so I added those this year, and they went over really well also. Yes.
Okay. So,
now, one of the things I found is many of us are diabetic. And when people say, "Oh, I can't eat, I don't want to make my blood sugar go up." I know it's popular for people to start having sugar-free.
okay.
But for me, I thought sugar-free, that's not really the only thing that makes your blood sugar go up, is the carbohydrate.
Okay.
But I felt that if you get used to saying, "Oh, this is sugar-free," you'll eat a bigger piece. And
Right.
you keep telling yourself, "Oh, this is sugar-free, it doesn't matter." So as a result, I came up with these individual cakes. And you can only purchase these in groups of 6. But they're individual. You put them right in the freezer.
Okay.
And sometimes you just need just enough. And it's not just for our diabetic people, but
It's just for control.
just
Yes.
for control.
Self-control.
Portion
Just-
control.
Right. So just a little bit of dessert takes, it's all you
That
need.
craving away.
Yeah,
Right.
it satisfies you.
Yeah, instead of, like you said, someone.
So what different sizes do you have? Like, you have that size. And
Well,
then,
I have my large ones. Some of my large ones are triple layer 9-inch. That's
Okay.
what my German chocolate
Round?
cake. Yeah,
Okay.
9-inch round, triple layer German chocolate cake. I also have a carrot cake that's I do in a triple layer
with pineapples and cream cheese icing.
Let's talk about the
I'm sorry.
upside down pineapple.
And I have a pineapple upside down cake. And somebody said, "Oh, could you put some rum in that pineapple down?" So I put rum in it. So now that's really popular.
Fire.
Pineapple
I haven't
upside
tried
down.
it with the rum.
Rum.
Oh, you had the rum?
That's what I did for my birthday.
Slaps.
So,
the rum?
so I do a pistachio cake. That's really popular.
One of my
for
favorites.
March because it's green.
Okay.
Or for Christmas holidays.
Yeah. Red
Oh,
velvet?
caramel cake. Caramel cake
That's delicious.
wasn't
I've had
popular until I got to Indianapolis. And
Yeah.
everyone started saying, "Do you do caramel cake? Can you do caramel cake?" So I added the caramel cake last year, and that's been really a good seller.
Yeah, it's really good. Coconut cake?
So I've got most of the classic cakes. and-
Okay.
yeah.
Do you mind maybe telling, or can I see the prices and maybe tell people what?
Well, the prices, they run from $30 to,
Well, I was just going
to $55.
okay. Well, I was
Well,
going to give them a couple of, let them know what cakes you make.
Oh, sure.
The standard cakes that you make. Okay, thank you. Okay, so y'all, these are the different cakes that are on the normal list that you can look forward to. We have a vegan list and a regular list. The sour cream coffee cake with pecan cinnamon streusel swirl, fire. Then they got the sour cream lemon coffee cake.
Oh, that's
sounds
really
good, too.
popular too. It's got a nice lemon glaze, and it's fresh lemon with fresh
Okay.
lemon juice.
Carrot 3-layer 9-inch cake with cream cheese icing. chess cake single layer, German chocolate 3-layer cake, red velvet, pineapple upside down cake, pistachio cake, buttermilk chocolate cake. Oh, that's different than a regular chocolate cake. Old school gourmet. Butter rum cake. Oh, so we have liqueur cakes also.
Oh yeah, a whole group of liqueur cake.
Okay. Butter rum, chocolate apricot brandy, and pineapple upside down rum. And then the remix cake that's on here that, if you know, you know. And then we have our gourmet cookies. We have oatmeal, walnut raisin, chocolate chip, snickerdoodle, old school snickerdoodle, peanut butter with real peanuts, fire, rum balls that contain alcohol. And what is this? Oh, the ginger molasses cake.
Cookies.
Ginger molasses cookie. You have a ginger cake also, don't you? At one point in time. But ginger molasses cookies. And then, then we have the vegan list. And on the vegan list, we have the vegan red velvet, the vegan carrot, the vegan double chocolate cake, vegan pineapple upside down cake, the vegan lemon cake, the vegan vanilla cake. Ooh, that sounds good. And then the vegan chocolate chip cookie. So there's something for everybody. There's no reason why you don't have to, you're not able to enjoy a nice little dessert. Yeah, indulge. So
you might be interested in my packaging. Ask me a question about that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You have these nice tins and these packaging and things. What can you tell us a little bit about your packaging and how to expect the product?
Well, my cookies, primarily, I put in these white gloss bags. They're resealable. And today we have some, you all might sample some, and you'll say, I got peanut butter cookies today, and I've got oatmeal walnut raisin cookies.
Okay.
And all my cookies are available in various packaging. One of them is a nice thank you tin. I have this thank you tin in 2 sizes. It'll fit a cake this size. I have a large one that would fit the cake.
Okay.
Or you can fit the cookies.
Okay.
So this is in 2 sizes. This is my signature tin, Langford's Gourmet cookies, and I have a ribbon, Langford's Gourmet ribbon that I tie on there for a
So
bow.
is this a dozen? Or a half
This is
dozen?
a half dozen.
Okay, so you can buy them a half dozen and in a dozen?
Yes.
And in a tin?
Or in the tin, or
Okay.
some people want them in a box.
Okay, all right.
And so if you want to, they can be shipped. I can package them for you to ship them if you want to.
Okay.
Um,
Now, what is the shelf life that somebody can expect after? I know you said like you could buy these by the sleeve, or you can, if they want to purchase the cake and then send it. What is the shelf life? Can they freeze them or?
well, if you're going to have a cake shipped or ship it yourself, I prepare it frozen,
Okay.
and so that way it doesn't crumble and break up in shipping. So
Okay.
I don't ship all the cakes.
No,
the
but
pound cake ships very well. But I don't ship, I have shipped the German chocolate, but those with the cream cheese frosting and everything. And unfortunately, the way our post office is going now, the food might linger.
so, but
I had that problem a couple of years ago when that new postmaster took over and stuff was just stuck in the mail. And by the time they got the cakes, even though they were frozen, they had thawed or they had...
so if you purchase a cake, consider, what the postal service is doing, depending on if you want to ship it or
But
not.
they need to be shipped priority mail so they can get them in like 2 days.
Yeah.
But if I were to buy the sleeve and I wanted to not eat all of those at one time, how long could I expect those to last in the freezer?
Well, they probably would not get to the freezer unless you ordered several dozen because you're going to eat them. And but you could expect a couple of weeks.
Okay.
If you store your cookies properly.
Okay.
And my cookies come individually wrapped in cellophane.
Okay.
So that gives you an extra layer of freshness.
Okay.
So they all come individually wrapped, and that's also nice if you're having a
That's chunky.
This is a peanut butter cookie.
Ooh, yeah,
And
that's
so
a nice chunky cookie.
They also
That looks delicious.
it's really nice if you're having an affair and you don't want people's germs all over everything. So all my cookies are always individually wrapped, so that helps with the freshness too. And then of course cookies need to be stored in an airtight container.
Okay.
And if you're storing your cookies without a cellophane, if you put a slice of bread in there, that helps to keep for the freshness.
It sucks up the moisture. See, you could only know information like that and learn that from a true baker. So that means if you buy something and you want it not to go stale, you put a piece of bread in there to soak up the moisture.
And the shelf life on this cake, about 7 days at room temperature.
Okay.
And then you can freeze it for up to like 5 months.
That's what I was, okay.
Yeah.
And I know, you had a customer one time when I was at my other shop, they purchased a German chocolate cake, and it was a
small one, yeah.
A small one, and they must have forgot it, and it must have been in my refrigerator, like near the freezer for like 2 weeks, and then we decided we were gonna go ahead and eat it, and we sliced it, and it was frozen, and it was fire, but if you heat it up, it's really fire.
Well, Deandra nooks everything for about 5 seconds. Because then, you get that fresh out of the oven taste and texture, and the butter has melted again. So it makes it like really super great on anything. But I do store these in the freezer. I mean, people do like to buy these cakes and then just put them in the freezer. But all the cakes will freeze well.
Okay. All right.
And most of the shelf life on them are, well, the rum cake, which is a very popular one. I have some people that order those every month. The rum cake, and of course, the alcohol is a natural preservative.
Okay.
So if you're ordering any of these things with rum in them, you don't have to worry about the shelf life.
Okay.
If it sits out.
So the longer it sits, the more the alcohol kind of ferments in the cake.
Go ahead and add some alcohol.
Right, it really enhances it the longer. Yeah.
So it might be one thing too, since everything is made within like a 48-hour turnover. If you're having an event, holidays, things like that, of course, those time of the year tend to get a little busier. But would it be smart to order a liqueur cake maybe a week or so ahead so they could put it in the freezer for it to marinate? Let the cake marinate.
No, if you're ordering, a liquor cake for the holidays, I already factor that in.
Okay.
So I mean, if you're ordering for the holidays, since it is a very busy time, you do need to order more than 48 hours in advance.
Oh, okay.
Because I get super busy.
Okay.
And so, so I would do a liqueur item maybe up to 4 days before.
Okay.
So it's just really ripe when you're ready to use it.
All right. Well, this is kind of a biased interview because I can definitely contest that everything is simply divine and irresistibly
good,
delicious.
Yeah, I've had some great testimonials. Since I like for things to be really fresh, when I was doing my vendor activities in Dayton, Ohio, and as you mentioned, you don't know how much to bake. So many times I'd have cookies left over, or I would sell my 4x6 cakes. Those were a very popular size. Then I would come to Indianapolis the next day of that weekend and come to my daughter's beauty shop, and everybody would, when you coming again, and I would just sell out. So that was a great way to do that. So I have built my clientele off of a lot of my daughter's clients, which has been great, and generally now by word of mouth. If you like something, or if you're serving something and people say, "Oh my gosh, that is so good," the price is not really an issue because how many times have you bought something and it's like, oh, throw it away? Even with our sandwiches and stuff that we get from fast food restaurants, you take a bite and you say, oh, you wasted your money. Wasted your money. Another cake that I didn't add on this list, which I'll probably do, my daughter and one of her friends requested a blueberry cheesecake.
I remember that.
That was big. It's blueberry lemon cheesecake cake.
That was
cheesecake cake.
That was the B birthday, wasn't it? I remember that one.
So the blueberry cheesecake sandwiched between a blueberry lemon cake, and then it had the frosting on it, and that was
that was delicious.
I mean, time consuming. You have to factor in, it was time consuming. That was a special request, so yes, I can do some special requests.
Okay, all right. So just know, though, these things are made from scratch with quality, so this will not be the price of Kroger or your little cousin. Like, these are...
or a box made. It's not a box made. It's not a box made.
Made by someone who got Miss Betty Crocker in high school, so we're talking a while ago.
Yeah, a while ago.
So it's a serious business size. Okay, so so you have large, medium, small, and personal sizes on the cake. So you have something for everybody. You have different sizes on the cookies, different packaging on the cookies. So looks like you have definitely really taken your time to build your business and make sure that you can accommodate what everybody needs. I know one thing that we face in this economical time is everybody wants everything to be large. You know, you can't ever buy anything for yourself. Everything is, you want to buy a pizza, you have to buy a large pizza. You know, you can't say, okay, well, what about a personal pizza? Just something for me, you know, and then it causes you kind of to overindulge. So having those mini cakes, I think that is definitely an awesome thing and very considerable for the consumer. Well, how can people get a hold of you?
The best thing, you can call my phone number, my mobile phone at area code 937-572-4898.
Okay.
I also have an Instagram posting, and you can see pictures of all of my variety of cakes. And I also have listed on there some of my special packaging. So if you go there, you can see some of the packaging I use for Christmas and Valentine's Day, and my gifting. Because one of the things I try to do is have my products ready to gift.
Okay.
So if someone says they want this cake for a birthday, then if they're ordering it, and we put it in a tin, I have a nice pretty birthday ribbon on it. I have one customer every year, she buys my 4x6 size cakes. It's about that size, 4x6.
Okay.
And I decorate those, and she gives those for her Christmas presents.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's really great to give a gift, especially as you get older, something that everyone can enjoy, instead of how many more scarves do we need, how many more earrings do we need. But this way, you can enjoy it, the whole family can enjoy it. So people are really liking baked items for that reason, for gifting.
Way to taste love.
Yes. And so that's been great.
So your IG is Langford's Gourmet Cookies and Cakes on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So if you contact me, I will send you a copy of the price list, and you can take a look at it and just order that way.
Okay. Well, do you have anything that you would like to add? One thing I like about Poster Presents the Show is a lot of our guests have a lot of background and can be very encouraging on how to be an entrepreneur. And I don't know if y'all, caught on, but, doing something in high school. She started in 4-H. She started, young. They offer homemaking, things like that. We have to pay attention to our education system now and what they're lacking to offer our children and make sure that they still are able to receive it. And then having a parent, being the parent, to let your child be comfortable, be free, explore.
Be creative.
Explore themselves and what they like to do. And then, even if they go into a traditional, career, when they're tired of that or they get done with that, they can still piggyback and do something they love, and build a business and enjoy life while doing it. So
just to add to that, Miss Patricia, you launched your business after you retired from your career, correct?
Correct.
So just know that. And what was your career prior to that?
Well, my career prior to that, well, I started off in retail. Okay. I graduated from Purdue University with a degree in marketing. Okay. And so my first career was in retail sales. Mm-hmm. And then at some point I was teaching a vocational education course, which is great because those students want to learn a craft. Yep. Mm-hmm. People try to downplay vocational education, but the skills that you get.
I wanted to go to vocational school.
I've went for a while.
Yeah. And then I for a moment, I taught consumer home economics. So those skills also helped me on being organized and being able to multitask as I'm doing my baking. Something else I was going to say. Having a senior moment here.
It's okay.
It's okay. I just wanted to know that.
Oh, I want to say, you know, in any business that you're in, you need to be as professional looking and presenting of your skill as possible.
Okay.
So, you know, if you're a beautician and you're always on time, you know, your clients really appreciate you giving them that time that they have bought, that hour or 2 hours of your time. So I have always strived to be very professional in my presentation, because a lot of home-based businesses
Look like they been in their basement.
look like, you know, they'll have put some saran wrap over a plate of cookies on a paper plate, and you're like, okay, or, you know, and then also I have no pets, I have no carpet in my kitchen, so it's very important to be a very sanitary enterprise. So even we were vending, we had our gloves. And we had the
aprons and
hand sanitizer. So that says a lot to your customer when they come up and approach you. It's like, oh, okay, this looks like it's a safe, a safe
Look like I
business.
can eat
A
here.
sanitary
Yeah.
environment.
Because so many times, you know, people have cats and dogs and they're touching those animals, and then
Or you see the coat or something in the background and it's covered with pet hair, and you like, bruh, like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. Yes, definitely. So always, when you're advertising yourself and creating your business, put your best foot forward and make sure that your business reflects what you want to receive and the quality that you want to represent yourself.
yeah. So when we do our vendor activities, we usually wear our Langford's Gourmet Cookie
Our t-shirt.
T-shirts,
Our
and
hats, our
we have our
socks.
hats to go with it.
Your
So
jackets,
it looks like we put
apron,
we put some effort into, you know, into building the business and putting the best foot forward.
Yes. Well,
So again, I thank you so much for highlighting me today, and
Thank you for
this
being
has
here.
been great.
Ms. Langford, we definitely thank you.
Okay.
We're going to indulge in some of these cookies behind the scenes, y'all. I can't wait.
I got this peanut butter one right over here
If
next
y'all
to
want
me.
to do that, you say, "Oh my gosh, give a testimonial." before we
Yes.
go.
And she actually does have testimonials. So the Instagram page is being updated periodically. So testimonials and things like that are there for your review. Once again, if you want to contact Langford's Gourmet Cookies and Cakes, Miss Patricia Langford, that contact number is 937 area code 572-4898. Also, if you want to get in contact with her on social media, then it is Langford's Gourmet Cookies and Cakes on IG. Thank you again for your time. This has been another great episode of Post and Presents the Show. I am signing out, Miss Dopalicious.
Tina Baby.
Please say the baby.
Patricia Langford Finley.
That's right. And we're out. Thank you.
Thank you.